In 1900, American politicians were shot down on the Capitol lawn, sparking a massive constitutional crisis that nearly brought the state of Kentucky to a bloody civil war. Born to German immigrants, William Goebel was an aggressive and highly controversial Democratic politician who rose through the ranks of Kentucky politics with an iron will and rut. Known by his bitter enemies as Boss Bill or the Kenton King, Goebel was both hated as a ruthless political boss and deeply revered as a champion of common workers. Years before his assassination, Goebel proved he was highly dangerous, engaging in an intense street duel with a former Confederate officer named John Lawrence Sanford. Witnesses claimed both men drew their weapons simultaneously during the heated confrontation, but Sanford was shot dead. Goebel successfully claimed self-defense and walked away scot-free. During the chaotic 1899 gubernatorial campaign, Goebel used aggressive, heavy-handed convention tactics to force his way into the Democratic nomination, deeply fracturing his own P. To win over voters, Goebel ran on a staunchly populist platform, publicly attacking powerful corporate trusts and the massive Louisville and Nashville railroad monopoly. The railroad industry viewed Goebel as a major existential threat to their vast financial interests, pouring massive funding into supporting his Republican rival, William S. Taylor. The voting was incredibly close and deeply marred by widespread accusations of intimidation and fraudulent ballot manipulation on both sides of the political aisle. When the initial votes were tallied, Republican William S. Taylor was officially declared the winner by a razor-thin margin of roughly 2,300 votes. Despite the massive outcry from furious Democrats, William S. Taylor was officially sworn in as the governor of Kentucky in December of 1899. William Goebel returned to his powerful seat in the state Senate, absolutely refusing to concede the highly controversial election results to his political opponent. When the legislature met in January 1900, Democrats officially filed a formal contest, forcing a special investigation into the highly suspect election returns. As rumors of a political coup spread, armed men from across the state began flooding into the capital city of Frankfort, ready for violence. Approximately 500 heavily armed Republican supporters from the Eastern Mountains barricaded the entrance to the state capitol building to protect Taylor's office. With the capital city effectively transformed into an armed camp, anonymous death threats against William Goebel began multiplying at an alarming, terrifying rate. On the bitterly cold morning of January 30th, 1900, William Goebel left the nearby Capitol Hotel, running slightly late for his scheduled legislative meetings. Accompanied by a few political companions, Goebel walked briskly along the brick pathway toward the grand entrance of the old state capitol building. Concealed somewhere inside the nearby executive office building, an unknown assassin quietly aimed a high-powered rifle through a window, waiting for the perfect shot. As Goebel passed a fountain in the front yard, a sharp rifle crack shattered the morning air, tearing through the quiet Capitol grounds. The bullet struck Goebel squarely on the right side of his chest, completely piercing his lung and shattering his ribs before exiting his body. Goebel collapsed heavily onto the cold stone path. Several more rapid shots were fired from the building, sending bystanders scrambling frantically for cover. Young journalist Irving Cobb heard the gunfire, ran out of the legislative hall, and was among the very first to reach the bleeding, fallen politician. Cobb later recalled the horror of that moment, writing that his own hands and sleeves were heavily stained with Goebel's blood as they lifted him. A small group of frantic supporters carried Goebel's limp, bleeding body back across the street to his private room inside the Capitol Hotel. Despite suffering massive internal bleeding and severe damage, Goebel weakly told his doctors that he believed he could pull through the horrific injury. With Goebel clinging to life, the state legislature moved at lightning speed, officially declaring Goebel the legal winner of the contested election. On January 31st, 1900, a barely conscious William Goebel was officially sworn in as the 34th governor of Kentucky from his hotel bed. Governor Goebel's very first and only official executive order was a command for the armed militia to immediately dissolve and disperse from the Capitol. Incumbent Republican William S. Taylor completely ignored the dying governor's decree, keeping his heavily armed mountain militia firmly in place. To fortify their position, Taylor's forces deployed massive rapid-fire Gatling guns on the Capitol grounds, turning the State House into a fortress. With two men claiming the governorship and heavily armed factions facing off in the streets, Kentucky teetered on the absolute edge of total warfare. Just 4 days after taking the oath of office, William Goebel succumbed to his severe internal injuries, passing away on February 3, 1900. Supporters claimed his noble last words were a plea for his friends to stay brave, fearless, and completely loyal to the common people. However, cynical journalist Irvin Cobb later claimed Goebel's actual final words were simply a complaint about eating a very bad oyster for lunch. Goebel's sudden death shocked the nation, transforming the highly controversial political boss into an instant powerful martyr for the Democratic Party. He was buried in the Frankfort Cemetery, where an enormous stone monument was later erected to honor the only assassinated governor in U.S. history. Following Goebel's tragic death, his young Lieutenant Governor J.C.W. Beckham immediately stepped forward to claim the executive office for the Democrats. Governor Beckham and the deposed Republican William S. Taylor immediately launched an epic, high-stakes legal battle over who was the legitimate leader. The bitter political dispute eventually climbed all the way to the Supreme Court, which ultimately ruled in favor of the Democratic faction. Fearing immediate arrest as a primary accomplice in Goebel's murder conspiracy, the deposed William S. Taylor packed his bags and fled to Indiana. With the Democrats firmly in control, a massive, aggressive criminal investigation was launched to uncover the true identity of the hidden sniper. Detectives carefully interrogated court records, receipts, telegrams, and secret correspondence between several suspected high-ranking Republican conspirators. Investigators quickly focused their sights on Caleb Powers, the newly elected Republican Secretary of State of Kentucky during the crisis. Ballistic experts and prosecutors strongly believed that the fatal rifle shots had been fired directly from a window inside Caleb Powers' private office. Caleb Powers was arrested and officially charged with orchestrating the entire deadly assassination plot to keep the Republicans in executive power. In a stunning display of legal drama, Caleb Powers was tried 4 separate times for the exact same crime over the course of several years. Powers was repeatedly found guilty by strongly Democratic juries, but his highly skilled legal team managed to overturn the verdicts on appeal. While his complex legal battle raged through the state courts, Caleb Powers served 8 long years inside a maximum security prison cell. In 1908, newly elected Republican Governor Augustus E. Wilson stepped in and officially granted a full pardon to Caleb Powers and others. Reclaiming his public reputation, Caleb Powers was later elected to the United States House of Representatives, serving multiple terms in Washington. Several other low-level political figures were indicted and tried alongside Powers, but none remained in prison long after the pardons were issued. Despite multiple high-profile trials and exhaustive investigations, the actual physical identity of the shooter was never conclusively proven in court. To this very day, the assassination of William Goebel remains one of the most fascinating and baffling unsolved political murders in American history. The immense political instability caused by Goebel's assassination directly paved the way for the violent Black Patch Tobacco Wars in western Kentucky. Historians note that this assassination was not an isolated incident, but the climax of a deep-seated regional culture of intense political violence. Whether Goebel was a truly corrupt political tyrant or a genuine visionary reformer for the common man remains heavily debated by modern historians. Goebel lived and died by a strict political philosophy that the ultimate ends justified whatever aggressive means were required to achieve them. Some historians suggest Goebel's violent fate serves as a timeless, subconscious warning to politicians with an unquenchable, absolute craving for power. The shocking tale of the 1899 election perfectly captures the raw, unbridled, and dangerous nature of Gilded Age American politics at its absolute worst. More than a century later, his bronze statue still stands tall in front of the old Capitol building, a silent witness to a dark day in history. Everyone officially charged in connection with the assassination was either fully acquitted or eventually pardoned, taking the ultimate truth to their graves. With no confession and no conclusive evidence, the cold-blooded murder of Kentucky's 34th governor remains forever locked in the shadows of the past. If you love historical true crime mysteries, please smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and comment below with your own theories on who shot William Goebel.